1 year after the death of Eric Garner, after the African-American Negro pretty much shows how little regard he still has for black lives. On the Friday, on the 1 year anniversary of the death of Eric Garner, we had 5 shootings here in the South Bronx, all black on black. And earlier in the week, a Negro male went and raped an 82-year-old woman in Brooklyn. This shows you, the wanton disregard the Negro has for lives, whether they be black, white, green, or even Martian. And, the continuing dysfunction that this Negro still has, you know, regarding the lives of not only his life, but the lives of others. I mean, here we have, the 1 year anniversary of the death of Eric Garner, and the Negro pretty much shows how little regard he still has for black lives by shooting, having 5 shootings right here in the South Bronx. And you look at that, and it shows the hypocrisy the African American Negro has, regarding their own movement. Now, all these people say that they want black lives to matter to people of other races, but when it comes down to their own people, they just have no regard for them. I mean, I look at this summer and I'm seeing some of the most heinous and atrocious crimes being committed by blacks against blacks. And even after, before that rape of that 82-year-old woman in Brooklyn, here we had Todd West, the mass murderer who murdered 7 people. And none of these cases are being discussed by your Al Sharptons, your Louis Farrakhan's, your NAACPs, your black fraternities and sororities, your civil rights organizations, your Obama administration. No one is talking about any of these black on black crimes that are going on. And and I ask the question again, how can you ask people to evaluate black life when black people themselves don't value black lives? I mean, here we have the 1 year anniversary of the death of Eric Garner, and right here in the Bronx, 5 shootings in one night. Think about that. You guys went out there and you were all over, Negroes were all over, marching and protesting, talking about how they want justice. And, they continue to perpetuate injustice to themselves. I mean, on this 1 year anniversary, 5 shootings in one night. And no one looks at that black life, at those 5 black lives, and see value. But they'll look at Eric Garner's life and see all this value. They'll see so much value in it that they have to go out and march and protest over it. Yet no one will go out and march and protest over the 5 people who were shot on later on that same night in the Bronx. And I look at all these savage acts committed here and during this summer of the savage, and it just continues to get worse. It continues to get escalate, and all we get is silence from your civil rights leaders and your so-called black leadership. They're just completely silent as the summer of the savage continues, and these children of the corn continue to wreak more and more havoc on black communities. These urban terrorists get a complete pass from everyone, from your pro-blacks to your black leaders to your black politicians. Not a single one of them have expressed any concern, about any of these black on black crimes. I mean, I remember thinking about that case where the man shot this man, where this black man was shot in the head while holding his own daughter. And again, no suspects, nobody wants to talk. I mean, everybody's still with this whole snitches get stitches thing. But a man gets shot in the head on the street in broad daylight holding his daughter, and his body falls on top of her. And the only people who call it savage are white people. That's just what's really crazy and sad about that. And we have nobody, even trying to do anything about any of these black on black crimes or these black on black shootings. Nobody wants to take any action on any of these cases, but everybody wants to march and protest whenever there is a white cop involved or a non-black person. But if we show the same passion, fervor and heart, regarding cases like Eric Garner that we did for any of these cases that were out here, like these 5 shootings, like that family, like that man, like the black man who was killed while holding his own daughter, or any of the victims of Todd West, the mass murderer that we show, regarding Eric Garner and Dylan Roof and any of these other cases which involve, you know, a white person or a white cop or a non-black person taking a black person's life, maybe we could, make some inroads in improving the quality of life in our own community. I look at, black people, and, you really have to start valuing black lives yourselves if you want the rest of the world to value black lives. But this, this concept usually goes over most black people's heads. The whole idea that, you value your life enough that, you'll actually follow the biblical tenet of do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Would you want somebody to take your life? Then don't take somebody else's life. I mean, this is just something that I thought, a lot of people, they say 80% of black people are Christians, but this one tenet, flies over their head. They don't do unto others as they would do unto themselves. And this is why people don't this is why nobody regards a black life in the same way they regard other lives. In the eyes of many of these Negroes, everybody else's life matters, but theirs has no value.